morning and welcome to the Stahls TV Morning Show. I'm Courtney.
And I'm Karyn.
And as you can see today, Courtney's not going to be joining us, Courtney S. She's actually stuck in Detroit, so we're going to change up today's episode. We actually have an exciting, different episode for you today. We're not going to talk about social media. We're going to hold that off until after the holidays. But we do have a special guest. In addition to Karyn here at the morning show, Andrea from ZSK Embroidery will be joining us today to talk a little bit about some of the things we're seeing in the embroidery industry, as well as some trends for 2017. So we're excited to share that insight with you guys as well. We'll kick off today's look of the week. These are all submitted through our show and tell that we do every week on our Saturday mornings on Facebook. So this one was submitted from Laura.
So Laura Pellman from As You Wish Design submitted this really cute kind of group look. It's not just one shirt or one project like what we normally show. She has 4 different looks here, and they are made out of fashion film and glitter flake. And I really like what she did here with all of the different looks, but really the same decoration concept. So she'll probably have a really easy time selling this to groups for schools, family pictures, pretty much anything for the holiday season. Really
yes,
in the spirit.
It's such a unique take on the garment because we're not just using a shirt to say happy holidays or even make an ugly Christmas sweater. She really utilized the whole shirt to make something that looked like maybe a costume or a uniform that somebody would wear for the holidays or for a holiday party. So the mixed media aspect, in addition to that, really just creates a really eye-catching look. So it definitely caught my attention. I grabbed that from Facebook because I thought it would be great to share for this one's look of the week.
Yeah, I love that look.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of holiday printing for sure, so this season is just upon us. And so what we want to do today before we talk with Andrea is we want to share week 6 of our 7 markets you should be selling apparel to series. And so this week we're going to share some tips on selling directly to community events. There are a ton of community events in every large city and small city, and so it creates a great sales opportunity, and we'll share that video with you guys now. Welcome to this segment of 7 markets that you should be selling apparel to. This time we're going to focus on community events and festivals in your local area. From 5Ks and marathons to local festivals like music festivals or food festivals, there are a ton of community events that happen in and around large cities and even small towns. This creates a great opportunity for selling apparel and different accessories to these different events. To get started, create a calendar for these events that are going on in your local area, develop some pricing and packaging to sell to these events, and get ahead of the competition by bidding for event apparel or even looking at new revenue streams to bring into the event and to your business. Let's talk a little bit about the profit opportunities. The first one is going to be the most obvious, and that's printing apparel for the event itself. These are those free t-shirts or free bags that are given away when you attend an event, and they tend to be part of the ticket purchase when you're purchasing for this event. So when it goes to selling after this market, to start making sales calls to these events is never early enough. So even if the event just ended for this year, you want to go ahead and give them a call, congratulate them on a successful event, and start getting your foot into the door for next year's apparel sales, because they tend to start making decisions early for a lot of these local events, especially if it's a walk or a run that happens annually. In addition to this, when they're purchasing products or looking at suppliers, there's a few things to consider. Price and value are always really important whenever they're looking at the garment itself and what they're charging. This is a cost to the actual event itself if it's going to be a part of the ticket, so having something that's a lower cost but still a good value is going to be very important, and we'll talk about that in garment and transfer selection since this will be a mass production type of capability. The other thing to consider when they're ordering is convenience and ease of ordering. So the person who's ordering the apparel for the event tends to be having a lot of different hats, so they'll have a lot of different jobs to take care of. Selling apparel or ordering apparel and also packaging it and putting it out to the members who are participating is not going to be a huge key for them. So how can you as a supplier stand out apart from the other suppliers and making it more convenient for them? Maybe it's the way you package the products. Maybe it's in your customer service and delivery and the way that you deliver the products to them. This is going to be key in winning jobs that you're bidding for by being able to show that you're different from the other suppliers in that aspect, and you're going to make it easier for them. Let's talk a little bit about garment selection for the event itself. I mentioned you're going to want to choose a value blank. So think of something that's a little bit less expensive, maybe a Hanes blank or a Gildan, or something that's a private label like the Port & Company line from Sanmar. You're going to want to keep the t-shirt or the bag very inexpensive, so usually 100% cotton or a 50-50 item will allow you to print for a lot of these events itself. When it comes to transfer selection or printing in general, this is mass production that we're talking about here. So we're looking at direct screen printing or screen printed transfers with a heat press. Both of these are going to allow you to be able to print for a lower cost and be able to print much more effectively and quicker than any other print technology because you're able to mass produce these items. So screen printed transfers and screen printing is definitely ideal, especially for the event itself t-shirts. When it comes to pricing, just remember to keep your value and your pricing low when you're showing the cost that you're going to be giving to the event. You'll likely be bidding against different suppliers for these types of garments and these types of jobs, so you want to make sure to be competitive in that. If your pricing tends to be a little bit higher, always make sure that you're delivering the value and showing them the value that they're getting from using you as a supplier. Again, maybe it's the way you package those products so it's easier for them to distribute at the event. Maybe it's in the way that you deliver. Maybe you plan to package them and deliver them and hand them out at the event themselves to save them from having to have extra staff. There's different ways to make your business stand apart in that way. The second opportunity that we're going to look at is one that really presents the greatest opportunity for high revenue returns, and that's going to be printing on-site at the event itself, or offering merchandise at the event or outside of the event to really commemorate and start to take in some revenue from the event that's happening in your local area. If this is a new opportunity and you're planning to do event printing or selling merchandise at the event, then you're obviously going to want to get buy-in from the event administrators. And so to do that, you may want to offer a kickback, so any merchandise that you sell, they can have a percentage of that sell as well, so that there's a benefit for them for you being there. If you're going to offer a kickback like that, I do recommend making sure that your pricing allows for that so that you're still able to make the profit that you want to make on each item while still giving them a percentage of your sale. When choosing garments for selling merchandise at an event, you don't want to have too many choices for them to choose from because you'll basically be selling to the participants that are at the music festival or at the walk or run. And so I want to choose 3 to 5 items that are going to be trendy and that are going to be more unique and really fit the event that I'm printing for. So if I'm printing for a walk or a run, I tend to go towards performance wear, maybe a t-shirt, a tank top, a sweatshirt, and a pair of shorts. If I'm printing for a really trendy music festival or a food festival, maybe I have a tri-blend t-shirt or something that tends to fit a juniors market if that's the clientele that's going to be there. I want to sell the blank in the apparel that the audience there wants to purchase. Once I have my 3 to 5 items selected, the next choice is going to be transfer selection. For on-site event printing, heat printing is a huge benefit because you can take a heat press, take your transfers, and be able to customize on demand. That way you don't have to hold a ton of pre-printed inventory, and it cuts your cost if for some reason the event has less of a turnout than expected. You don't get stuck with all those extra printed garments. So for this, I recommend either using screen printed transfers and taking those and printing them on site. They're very fast and easy to use. Another great opportunity is to offer on-site personalization. So imagine being a walk or a run and having the ability to put your name or your time on a bag or a t-shirt. To do this, you're going to want to use a vinyl cutter and heat transfer vinyl. That'll allow you to easily create the artwork, send it to the cutter, and customize. And you can do a quick turnaround there for them and sell it at a higher price because it's personalized and it's unique. It's something they cannot get at any other location and allows them to commemorate the event. For pricing strategy, when you're looking at selling in this method, first, if you're going to be selling this to the actual event staff, you want to make sure they're able to see a document that shows the profit that they're going to be able to get by having you at their location in a pop-up tent printing or selling merchandise. If you're selling this directly to those participants, then you're going to want to price these items a little bit higher because, of course, these are going to be higher end items and they're going to be on-demand printing. And so you're going to be offering something that they can't get anywhere else, and it's going to be kind of that really able to drive the price up because they're more likely to pay more at an event than they would be if they were in a local retail store purchasing something. Also, make sure that if you're having a booth display, that your pricing and your signage and your offerings are available. So if you're offering custom printing, make sure to broadcast that. That's a huge selling benefit. Also, make sure the pricing is easily able to see. Maybe display the garment designs that you have set up and display pricing with it. That way it's easy for the customer to make a buying decision and they don't feel that they have to ask or do any research to really see what it's going to cost them to purchase that item. To find customers for this type of location, or for these types of sales opportunities, I recommend looking at a 90 to 120 mile radius of your local area, whether you're in a small town or a large city. Look for community events in the area. And most cities, especially larger cities, tend to have what they call a visit website, so it may be visitpittsburgh.com, where you can find all of their community events. So a quick Google search of community events in Indianapolis, Indiana could find me the community event website for that location. I can easily create my calendar for that. If you're looking towards walks and runs and that's the market that you want to go to, active.com also has a ton of ways for you to sort by city or mile radius and find the walks and runs that are going to be in your area. Again, from there, create your calendar and start to plan your approach for sales calls and packaging towards these markets. Community events, festivals, all of these create great opportunities for you to start diving in and making profit for ongoing revenue streams and for the event itself. So take a look at this growing market, and we'll see you on our next segment of 7 markets that you should be selling apparel to. So that was week 6 of our 7-week series. We're actually going to continue that series after the holidays, so you'll get to see the 7th market there. If you want to re-see any of those markets, we do have them available on stahlstv.com as well for all of the 6 of 7 markets that we've been sharing with you guys throughout the morning show. As you can see, I have traded in Karyn for Andrea from ZSK. If you're just joining us on Facebook Live or on our go-to client, then you've probably missed that we actually have a special guest here in the studio. Andrea from ZSK Embroidery is here this week working on some videos that we'll be sharing with you guys soon on stahlstv.com. And so while she's here, we thought we would go ahead and take the time to talk a little bit about the embroidery industry, things that we're seeing, share some tips and trends there, and really give you some different ideas that we're seeing for 2017. And so Andrea, you have been in the embroidery industry and in the apparel decorating industry for quite some time. You've pretty much grown up in this different industry, and so you share a different type of insight that we don't technically usually have here on the morning show, so we're excited to have you. Do you mind sharing some of your background, your experience with our Stahls TV audience?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. It's a real treat to be a guest on the morning show here. Just a little bit about me. My name, again, is Andrea, and I work with the ZSK machines. And I've grown up in this industry actually since my grandfather. So I have the embroidery needle and thread in my blood. I've been doing it, as we say, full time for approximately 15 years. And I've really immersed myself with working with customers, working with techniques, processes, and also, working in the marketing side, understanding new trends, new niches that can that develop throughout the industry. So I've been very lucky. I've been able to travel to different parts of the world to actually see all these new things develop. And one of my passions is helping customers with understanding processes and how we can grow businesses.
Great. Yeah, so you've been, I know I've seen you for quite a few years over trade shows
Yes.
and at education, and so you definitely speak with a lot of embroiderers and have kind of a unique insight into what's going on in the embroidery industry. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is, 2017 is literally just around the corner.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And so this is a time where a lot of people are looking for trends, or looking for insights, or looking for tips. So what are some of the popular trends that we're seeing when it comes to finishes and applications for embroidery?
Yeah, one of the big things that I see and that I've seen develop is over the years is thread. And you can see we have a couple thread cones here. These are by Madeira. They are metallic thread. Typically what we see in the industry and what we see in logos and basic embroidery work is polyester thread or rayon thread. And it has a specific finish. It's nice and shiny and it looks very pretty. But throughout the years, the industry has created new threads with new finishes that have given us a lot of leeway to work with, different combinations of thread. So using like a metallic thread really gives a unique look. We have thread that is like a matte finish thread. So it's not as shiny, but it's more matte. And utilizing these threads with different materials for things like applique, and I know we'll talk about that a little bit later, you can come up with some really unique items. There's also a thread that's, again, it's by Madeira. It's called Burmi Lana, but it's almost like a wool, very thick thread. So it almost looks like a hand stitching. So we can create a very cool look that almost emulates hand stitching or that needlecraft with an embroidery machine. So one of the things that I encourage people to do is go look at the different thread finishes and things like that, because you can combine the different threads together. You don't have to use just one type of thread, but using it together and really opening the door to new looks. Another thing, this with the metallic thread, we do have this little, this is my new favorite design that we created. It is an applique, but it does have metallic thread used in the applique. This is regular polyester, and this is the metallic. So in utilizing different threads, we can give that different dimension. And that kind of leads into my next point, which is mixed media. And I know we've talked a lot about mixed media, and I love that I'm here because we are able to, utilize the heat press with the embroidery machine and cutters and things like that. And there's so many unique looks that you can get with the mixed media. One of which is of course applique. So mixed media, utilizing, you can utilize the heat press with screen print transfers and combining the embroidery with it. We have this design here, it's got the rhinestones on it, and that's done with the heat press, nothing special. So mixed media, combining things not only give you a unique look, but it can also help with decreasing production time because you're utilizing the media to replace stitches. And kind of the last thing, as far as, trends for 2017 is unique placement. I know you see that in the heat press industry, but unique placement, putting things in places that we didn't think of before. I have this pair of shoes here. We've got, first of all, we've got a monogram on the front, and then this is for a gymnastics club, and this is the name of the gym or the letters of the gym on the side here. So this was actually created for a gymnastics team. They have black warm-ups and they wanted the black shoes to go with it. They branded their shoes with the SLGC, and these are little girls. These are 6-year-old girls that we're doing this with. So having their monogram on the front, they know which shoe is theirs. So that's kind of a nice thing. It's a double. We've got two reasons here why we embroidered it. One, to brand it, and two, to keep the girls in line with their shoes.
Yeah, I think that's something we see in the embroidery and heat printing industry. It's personalization, it's unique placement, it's mixed media. All that stuff really is what's allowing a lot of decorators to stand apart. We'll talk about it a little bit. We see that just with the monogramming and everything. And I know one of the themes for your visit is going to be mixed media, so we're going to share a lot of different mixed media applications through video on StahlsTV.com, so you'll have to take a look and check out those as well. So we've talked a little bit about finishes, but I think the end of 2016, the start of a new year, is always a good time for people to think about what investment should I make in technology or attachments or things like that to kind of expand my business. So are there certain technology advancements or attachments that you think that embroiderers should be taking control of or taking advantage of?
Well, with there's a lot of different things to look at, especially on the machine side. First of all, one of the things to look at is with the machinery and what's available are the attachments, or actually I should say the accessories, that are constantly developing and constantly coming out. And this leads back into that shoe right here, is that we do have a special frame for the shoe, holding that shoe onto, you can't do this with a traditional hoop. So, companies, not only the machine manufacturers, but also aftermarket companies are coming out with very unique frames in order to decorate for this unique placement. So that's one thing. One thing with ZSK, and of course I'm going to talk about ZSK a little bit, is that they have a lot of unique frames that they build specifically for customer needs. So a customer will come up to them with a need and they'll say, I need this specific placement, and they'll come up with a very specialty frame. But again, there are aftermarket companies that do come up with it. And then I did use the word attachment before, but with attachments, that's more along the line of what we can add to embroidery. We are able to do different attachments that allow for decoration using embroidery technology. And what I mean by that is there are things like sequins. And those are those round mylar. You typically see it on costuming and things like that. It's another way to do bling. We have cording. We have something that's kind of really unique, especially in the applique industry, but a hot air cutter. We have something called boring, which I always tell people it's not boring, but it's actually doing cut work. So there are attachments for the machinery that allow for an entrance into different markets, especially what I see with sequins is in the tourist market, the costuming market, and things like that. So when you're looking at your machine, see what you can expand on that machine. Because there are just a lot of different things that you can do. Another thing is the machine design. With our machinery, there have been developments to allow you to do things like this. This is a very small shoe, and you can see that it is the placement is pretty far down on the shoe. So. And I'm sure it's just like with heat presses, just the machinery developments that come out and that can change, that allow you to do and offer these unique things. One other thing to really look out for 2017 is workflow processes. We are seeing more and more online shops that are connecting suppliers with embroiderers. Online fulfillment and things like that. So that's another big thing to look at specifically in the embroidery industry.
Yeah, it's a great point as well. And even, for people that are looking to maybe purchase new equipment or make advancements for the new year, it's kind of like the way we talk about heat press equipment, where we always talk about if you're looking to make a new investment, look at a machine that's going to allow you to grow, that's going to allow you to do some of these different things that maybe we're seeing trending for the upcoming years. Maybe it's special effects, maybe it's sequins, maybe it's rhinestones. Being able to have different capabilities like that is really a huge benefit, different placements, and all of that as well. And so another thing that we talk a lot about here on the morning show are blank apparel trends. And so one of the trends that we've seen over the last few years really is performance wear, athleisure, these polyester light garments. And so any tips? I know I've always heard challenges with people decorating them with, any print technology, but any tips for embroidery specifically for these?
Absolutely. With athletic wear and things like that, we do come into a new type of material. It's stretchy, it's thin, it's not that fun to work with when you're embroidering or decorating with it. So making sure that you do have the right recipe is going to be a very big thing. And tap into, the knowledge base of a lot of people, like myself and other educators that are available. And it can be from digitizing technique, meaning the design creation, to the actual preparation of the material, and that means the backing and the thread and the needles that you do have to use. With athletic material, the polyester, it's very stretchy. So it's important that you have it nice and taut and stabilized, and so that's where your backing kind of comes into play. Making sure that you have a topping will make it give a nice finish, especially when you have that larger weave into the fabric, because that needle is going to fall into that weave. So having a topping, which is typically water soluble, it will create a barrier to the top of that fabric and create a nicer needle path into the thread, into the material. So there are a lot of different things that you that you want to make sure of when you are embroidering, and because it is a difficult fabric.
Yeah, some good points as well. So definitely performance wear is another trend. And then one thing that we talk about a lot in the morning show at Stahls TV, it's I think one of the largest trends in personalization, it's monogramming. I know you guys see it from the embroidery side, we see it from the heat transfer side. And it's expanded. We've seen it here on a pair of shoes simply because it's a popular way to add personalization and make each item unique. And so are there any unique tips or trends, ideas that we're seeing kind of in that marketplace for embroidery?
Yeah, absolutely. Monogramming is something that has been around for years, and it's not going away anytime soon. What I see with monogramming is just more unique things that are coming out with the monogramming. Number one, unique placement. I know we've touched on this. You can see on the front of the shoe here. That's something that I don't commonly see. Doing it on shoes, on boots, on different places, on like a jacket, let's say, maybe on the yoke, the neck yoke, or just different things like that. But it also leads into the ability to do mixed media with monogramming, with the applique. I'm seeing more and more on the women's side, left chest logos, or I'm sorry, the left chest design that has either like a glitter rip away or something special, with a pattern or a fabric or something like that. That seems to be a very, very big thing. And using the different threads too. So there's a lot of room to grow with monogramming, and just on the cutter side or the heat press side, we're seeing monograms on the back of cars, on everything. It seems like everything's monogrammed.
Yeah, it seems like everything in 2017 will be monogrammed.
Right.
And so I think like you said, there's a lot of room for decorators to grow that do this with applique finishes, with being able to mix some of the rip-away applique that Stahls offers, along with some patterns and different effects. And so a lot of fun things that we'll be sharing with you guys through Stahls TV on that as well, coming up. And then before we take some questions, the only other thing I really wanted to dial in on here that I think our audience would really benefit from is, each year, every decorator takes, I think, the start of a new year to think fresh, where you're thinking, what changes can I make to either my pricing or my costing or my workflow to make things run more smoothly. Price competition is one of the biggest issues in the decorating industry in general, but it's obviously very prominent in embroidery. So what do you have recommendations for decorators that want to kind of be competitive and win more jobs this year?
Yeah, and you bring up a great point. People are wanting to be cost competitive. You want to be cost competitive, but without sacrificing, sacrificing quality. And things to do to be cost, competitive can be things from design, digitizing practices to, thread application. And what I mean by that is there's thread that is a heavier weight thread that you could actually use to cut down on thread count. And I apologize, let me back up for a second. Typically with embroidery, when we price things out, it's done based on stitch count. And that's because that's going to determine how long your machine is going to be running, and that's taking up production time. So how can we lessen that production time? How can we produce more? And that would be cutting down stitch count. We can cut down stitch count by different things in digitizing, like lengthening our stitch our average stitch length. So if you imagine, and it can be like a half of a millimeter, it can actually bring things down quite a bit. Using a thicker thread can also fill up that area using less stitches because you're using a thicker thread. One of the big things that I see, especially in bigger designs or jacket back designs, is utilizing the applique technique. And utilizing applique, there are a lot of different materials that you can use that either emulate thread or give a really unique look by replacing all those stitches. Because if you can imagine, let's say you've got a 5x5 area that's all filled with stitches, well, replacing applique with it is going to bring down your production time quite a bit. So there's a lot of different things that you can do, you know, and in decreasing that cost. So it is looking at your workflow, it is looking at what types of things you are doing and how we can keep that quality, but bringing down the production time, because that's really a lot of where our costs come into play.
Yeah, I know we work with a lot of embroiderers that have used applique or start to use applique to cut their costs. And for those of you who are thinking about that option, just keep in mind Stahls does offer custom cutting services, so we can cut any applique for you to embroider, cut those costs, and help you really become more cost effective on a lot of designs. Taylor, if I had some questions coming in throughout the morning show we could answer before we head out.
They would like to know where they can contact Andrea, either an email or website or social media.
Yeah, my email address is just Andrea, which is Andrea, at ZSK, so Zebra Sam Kite, machines with an S.com.
Perfect. Any other questions? All right, great. So like I said, Andrea, we appreciate you coming on to the morning show here last minute and just kind of sharing your insight. I think it's been really valuable for our Stahls TV audience. We certainly appreciate it. Next week, for those of you guys that are joining us, we will be doing our live Q&A episode. So at the end of the morning show, if you want to chat in some questions that you want answers to next week, we'll be doing that live through Facebook, as well as through the GoToMeeting client that we use through StahlsTV.com. So we will see you guys then. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.